tell me the number one reason why a customer will or will not hire you? They like you, that's a good reason. Trust you. It's because they trust you. And you ladies have a leg up in the real estate world. You are much more likable and trustable with the way you appear. So make note of that you guys are more easily trusted in this business. Today, I want to cover 4 points. I'm used to talking with both hands. This is difficult. 4 points. Number 1 is mindset. Okay? Number 2 is we're going to go over business planning and where to start. Who wants to know where to even start with a business plan? Has anyone had that challenge? Like, we need to have a business plan, but where the frick do I start? Number 2 is we're going to go over goals and the key metrics that you need to monitor, to measure, in order to stay up with your business plan. Then we're going to go over coaching, why it's an asset, not expensive. In fact, what I have found is that if you don't have a coach or a mentor, that's actually the expense. It's costing you money, deals. Okay? And then finally, we'll open it up to any questions you guys have. If you guys have questions along the way, feel free to raise your hand as well. Or throw something at me to catch my attention. Right, I guess, are you guys taking notes? Hopefully you can take some notes. You become what you think about most of the time. That's from a book, The Strangest Secret. If you've never read it, put it on your reading list. Your thoughts become your reality. What you speak about every day, what you're seeing on Facebook, TV, the books you read, the environment you're in, that becomes your reality. And as real estate professionals or even business owners, we face a lot of rejection. Who here has been rejected a time or two in this business? Yeah, you know, I got an early start rejection. I always got told no to the school dances, so I got started off right in real estate. A couple of things with mindset. I only have a few minutes on this topic here. One thing you need to do every single day is you need to read. We have a world of technology, audiobooks, ebooks, whatever. Have physical books in your hand to read. And a note of several books that you should put on your list is E-Myth. As a business owner, you need to be able to run your business so that a 12-year-old can step in and take it over. Number 2 is The Strangest Secret, Think and Grow Rich, which I've probably read that book 25 times, and I used to read that book because I wanted to make a lot of money. Who's here wants to make more money? Say yes. Yes. Right. That's not what that book's about, by the way. It's about creating the reality that you want, the imagination into the physical reality, right? I know, Tyann, you like to travel, right? How do you get your ideas on where you're going to travel? You see a picture of a beach or a place you want to go sell, and then you make a note of that. That's the start of the idea. That's the seed. And that can happen with anything, and particularly you want to line that up with your business. So today as we go through our goals, you've got to have the end in mind, but more important, you've got to know every single day, what's the game look like? That if I play at level 10, how can I win? Write down The Power of Positive Thinking, Dr. Norman Vincent Peale, one of the best books I've ever read. And personally, I base my whole life and my business off of a relationship with God. This book is one of the most powerful books that shows you how to relate, how you converse with others, and then how you can bring in God into your life. I also write down How I Raised Myself from Failure, Success, and Selling. Best book in sales.
Say that again.
Failure, How I Raised Myself from Failure to Success in Selling. It was written in the 50s by Frank Betchker. He was one of the North America's top insurance salesmen. Speaking of the word salesman, are we not salespeople? I think this is a bunch of crap when you're telling yourself I'm like some consultant or something. In the 70s, do you know what financial planners were called in the early 70s? Insurance salesmen. right? We actually are salespeople, and when you can embrace that you're a salesperson, you'll have more success in this business. Don't try to hide that you're a salesperson. I don't remember what it was, but I went to some speech, some talk, and the speaker spoke about, he had interviewed some top performers, Olympic athletes, top CEOs, surgeons, people that were just above average performers. And they all had something in common that they said was the whole core of why they're successful, why they produce at a high level. Any guesses on what that one thing is? Close. Not reading. Any other guesses? You all raised your hands, so I know you're here. It's how you feel. 65% of their success, they credited to how they feel every day. So feel good now. When you wake up in the morning, your goal should be to feel good now. To always feel better. Who likes to be around someone that's energetic, enthusiastic, and just has that good energy? Right? Yeah, you got your hands up. That should be your goal every day, to feel good now. And, you know, it's funny, I'm doing a transaction with Shauna. She's a great agent, by the way. Speaking of great agents, you know, I compete against, I'm listed a lot of listing appointments. I hate to compete against the ladies, right? I get so nervous. I hear Lindy Bess's name, right? Or Shannon. I get nervous when I'm going to go up against Shannon. The one that gets me the most is Julie Facer. Dude, she is so freaking good. So good. So, yesterday, I had an experience where I had a $350,000 deal fall out of escrow. I've got one that was just on the edge with Shauna because of some stuff. And I was focused on, man, that sucks. I got 2 deals falling apart after 8 I have an escrow. There goes 25% of my business. And Garrett's my assistant, if you guys haven't met him. Super positive, great guy. Says to me, today was a great day. We got 5 contracts signed. So the point is, I'm just focusing on these problems that bring a negative energy. And so at the end of the day, if you can simply take a piece of paper and a pen and write down, what did I succeed at today? It might have been that you called 3 or 4 of your past customers. It might have been that you actually went to the office. I don't know. You might have done something. Right? Whatever it is, write down that success. There are 4 things. How are we on time since we started a little late?
We do have 35 minutes.
Oh. I can talk for at least 35 minutes by this time. 4 things that every top producing agent has in common. You're going to want to write this down, and they're very, very simple. Number 1, they have a proven method that they follow. They're not trying to reinvent the wheel. Okay? How many of us got excited when we got our real estate license and said we're going to go make $1 million, and then we went to our first day and we realized we didn't know what the hell we were doing? I sold 2 houses my first year in real estate. I failed the real estate test 2 times. So go to show you don't have to be smart to make in this business. There's two things part of the proven method that every top producer does when they follow a system in their marketing. And number 1 is they proactively market. In other words, it's a word that we hate to hear in real estate. It's called prospect. Right? Who loves prospecting? Stand up. No one's standing up. So prospecting is actually pretty simple. It could be as simple as calling a past customer, calling friends or family and asking for referrals. But every top producer will have either a phone call conversation or a person-to-person dialogue with other people. I remember I first started this business with Bob Hill's office. Does anyone know Bob Hill? Super cool guy. It was when he was Century 21, and what he taught was, hey, 21 people every day, belly to belly, face to face, or on the phone. That's simple, having that conversation. Number 2 thing that top producers always do is it's called direct marketing, okay? And not tweeting or Facebooking, those are things that help, but a direct marketing campaign is either you get a direct mail into a person's hand, or the other really easy way that's very popular now is something like MailChimp, to be able to email campaign that. Okay? So you need to be able to have a system in place that you can stay in contact with your past customers and your friends and family and your sphere of influence. And the more touches, the better. For example, our business plan that we put together for this year is to have 17 direct mails into our past customers and our sphere of influence hands. Because we found that the average in this industry is that someone's going to open our email. Who uses MailChimp or something like that? The average in this industry is that maybe 30% of the people we send it to will actually open our email. How good does that do if they don't actually see your name? Okay, so 2 points. Prospect, direct marketing. Make those notes, and you're going to want to create a plan for this year. Today, one of the things we're talking about, and Shannon has been talking about, is kind of your business plan for 2015. I have some bad news for you. If you haven't put your plan together already, you are behind for 2015. We're in a lag business. What you do today might pay you in March. It might pay you in March, probably in April. What you're getting paid on today, you were working on in October and November. Doesn't mean, here's what else I love about this business. You can take the impossible, the invisible, the not even seen, and you can turn it into reality. I mean, you might come across a cash buyer and close a deal in 2 weeks. That stuff happens, and it's very rare, but it does happen. Number 2, basics that the top 4 producers have in common when they do their business planning. It's what I call a coachability index. Okay, everything we do when we master the inner game is we play to win. We play at a level 10. You can't go out and succeed playing at a level 6 or 7. You can't win by being half in. So the question you need to ask yourself if you want to succeed this year is, how coachable are you? And you want to monitor that on a scale of 1 to 10. Okay, 10 is I am very coachable, 1 is I'm never going to take any coaching at all. And there's 3 things: is how willing am I to be coached, how willing am I to learn, and how willing am I to change the way I currently do things. If you keep doing what you've been doing, you're going to get what you've been getting. That's insanity. Everyone knows the definition of insanity. Who's okay with continuing getting the results that they're getting? That's a bad place to be at if you're okay with just getting those results, right? There's no neutral ground in life. You're either going to the positive or you're going to the negative. You're either living fully in life or you're dying. There's no just sitting around and waiting, okay? I need a volunteer. Thanks, Amanda, for volunteering.
You're welcome.
She's going to be our scribe so we can read it.
Hopefully, I'm a lefty, it is very creative writing.
The third most important, or the third basic that allows top producers to be successful, in my opinion, is the most important. The most difficult to understand and grasp, but the most important, and that's what I call your believability index. Your why. Write down why versus how, will you?
Yeah.
So often, we try to focus on the how. How do I get from point A to point B to point C, right? And I can tell you from experience, you're going to have more success if you can focus on the why. Why do you wake up in the morning? The title of this that I think Shannon put on the flyer that went out was, have you ever wondered how to earn a 6-figure income in real estate? Why is that important? Who would like 6-figure income guaranteed every year? Say yes.
Yes.
That was kind of weak. I guess half of us would like 6 figures. The other half, we don't care.
About 7.
7. Big thinker. I like it. I lost my train of thought now. is important. I can tell you for me, you know, in the last 3 years, I've sold over 170 units, earned just under $1 million. And before that, I was single, by the way. Marriage helps you make more money. If you want to really make more money, I learned, who knows Preston Boswell? Has anyone met him? He told me this when I was like 23 or 24. I thought he was insane. He said, have kids. Boy, was he right. Have kids and you can earn more money. For me, this last year, I worked just over 8 months. Was that 2/3 of the year? I spent 3 weeks in Brazil at the World Cup. That was one of my biggest whys. My why is to travel. I love it. The greatest experience I've ever had was 5 weeks in Southeast Asia with just me, my wife, and a backpack. That's what drives me. Number 2 that drives me is my family. My wife and daughters. I remember September 1st, 2011, I came home from pretending to work, because I wasn't really, I mean, we do that as real estate agents, right? We pretend to work, like I did some stuff, right? I went to lunch with the title company. So, I remember I came home from pretending to work and we had a Chinese dinner. My wife is a great cook. If you've never had her cooking, she's great. And I opened up a little fortune cookie and it said, congratulations, Colton, you're going to be a daddy. At first I was upset, I'm just going to be honest. I wasn't part of the fight and travel. But ever since then, I've been able to achieve a higher level because my why wasn't just about me anymore. It was now about this girl, this little daughter, which if you've seen her on Facebook, she is a little diva, the cutest thing I've ever seen in my life. And then the last thing, who wants more freedom in their life? Right, we got into this business so we could run our own schedule and be free. We found out we're showing buyers at 8 o'clock on a Wednesday night. Who's experienced that? What does freedom look like to you guys? I want you guys to give me some answers. What if you had more freedom? If you had the 6-figure income, what would that look like with your freedom?
Being able to pick up your kids from school.
After school? Like, that's a great one. You don't get that time back. I'm learning with a 2.5-year-old and another girl on the way. You don't get that time back with your kids. What else? What are some other things that allow you to have more freedom? What would freedom look like if you didn't have to worry about your income level in real estate?
Fly all over the country to never miss one of my grandchildren's birthdays, be it every birthday.
Be it every grandchild's birthday. That's a great one.
Yeah.
Why is that important to you?
Because as you mentioned earlier, I get one chance at it. Grandma's important right now because they're little, but as they get older and older, if I want grandma to still be important, then I got to input into their lives.
That's absolutely right. I mean, just when she spoke there, she probably taught us 3 or 4 lessons. One is, when we focus on our roots, that determines our fruits, right? What you input, part of your business plan, you need to focus on what are you inputting, not what are your fruits after the year. Focus on what I'm doing right now. The other thing is that both of these people have in common, even myself, is it goes back to relationships, right? That's really what we want, is we want that relationship. And there are people that were on the earth yesterday, they're not here today. They're not. We have one chance to wake up every single day and to play to win. To do everything we can, because we don't know when our time's going to come. I expect I've got a good 85 years to be left, but you don't know when it's going to end. You don't know when that one person can be taken from your life. So play to win. I had a customer that I actually connected with them by just calling around a listing I had just sold. And they hired me, we sold their house. I didn't understand this until they had moved. The reason they were moving to Florida was because the husband was towards the end of his life. It was about to expire. And they needed to get back with family so that once he was gone, his wife and kids had the family support. I never realized what my career did to impact other people's lives until that experience. The older I get, the more time I'm in this business, I'm realizing my past customers, the older people, they're passing on. And their whole motivation has nothing to do except for to be more with family. The other thing, that the fourth basic, okay, that every top producer in real estate masters is three things: skills, their schedule, what's the third thing? I wrote it down, systems. A system in place to be able to run your business. Every single morning at 7:30, I'm on a role play call. And a lot of people says, I hate using scripts. I think as a salesperson, if you don't have a script, I think you're doing your customers a disservice, right? Whether you like it or not, you're already using a script, right? Whether the call comes in from Zillow, use Zillow to market, if you get a lead off the internet, or a referral, or for sell by owner, or whatever it is, you've got to be able to have the skills to be able to convert that person into a face-to-face meeting, because very rarely are you getting contracts signed without being face-to-face. Right? I mean, it happens more with DocuSign now, but you have to present to them. You have to have that skill set. If you have an assistant, you need to break your day up differently than if you don't. If you don't have an assistant, you need to divide it into 3 times throughout your day. One is lead generation time. Number 2 is administrative time to be able to do the admin stuff. And the third part, which is your second most important part, because you're not going to get it if you don't be Gen, is you need to have time set up to present to people. So, can we turn this on? I'm going to back up real quick. Keep turning that on. I'm going to back up real quick, back on the skills. Three things, skills you need to master. Is one, you need to master really your dialogue with people for lead generation, and master your dialogue when you present to people. How are you going to present at a listing appointment? How are you going to present at a buyer presentation? How are you going to actually get them to sign the contract versus say, hey, I'll call you, right? Who would rather walk out of a meeting with a seller with a signed listing contract, price to sell in 30 days, versus to have to wait for a phone call and say yes?
Yeah.
Write this note down. Leads have no value in real estate. 0 value. Contracts have value. That's how you get paid. And that's your listing presentation. This is my calendar, okay? I put the money-making activities, and this is, I did it a week out. I'll be out of town next week, but, so this is the week of the 26th. Garrett, what time have we been getting to the office lately? 6:30. 6:30? In the morning? Yeah. Now, here's what's great about a lot of you guys have an opportunity to deal with your children in the morning, right? I know a lot of female real estate agents, they deal with their kids. What time do you get to the office?
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock. What do you do before 9?
Get the kids ready.
Kids. Yeah, dealing with kids. So you've got to be able to adjust your calendar with your lifestyle. Right? Fortunately for me, I've got an amazing wife that she does a lot with. Yeah, she stays at home, and we've created that life where she can handle it in the morning. But if there's one thing in common from top producers I've seen across the country, and I've met a lot of them, is they're in the office pretty dang early, right? And 7:30, I'm usually on either a coaching call or a role play call. 8 to 12. That's when the magic happens. That's when I get paid to be in business. That's when I'm on the phone prospecting. And any of you guys have worked with me, how often do you get me on the phone in the morning? Does anyone work with me? Troy's like, I never get you on the phone anytime.
You don't.
In fact, this is a little secret. Some of you guys might even think I'm silly for doing it. Almost all day long, my phone goes directly to voicemail. Because one thing doesn't happen if I'm answering a phone call, I'm not making phone calls. In prospecting, it's not just about calling a for sale by owner or an expired seller. I spend at least an hour to 2 hours of my day following up with leads and opportunities, and at least an hour of that is I'm calling sphere of influence and past customers. I mean, I was able to take my business last year to where 60% of it was referral-based business. We'd like to have a 60% referral-based business. Just this year alone, off of referrals, I think I'll do around 45 deals. And if you create a system in place, you can make that happen. Noon. If you don't have an assistant, you probably need to cut that time off to about 11 o'clock. If you've got kids, plan on about 9 to 12 or 9 to 11 to do your lead gen time. 11 o'clock should be when you're checking phone calls and dealing with admin, handling those emails. Don't have your email on during your lead gen time. Big mistake, because you'll send like 10 emails back and forth with one person. The worst mistake, and I've made it, guys, is you get Facebook on, right? You don't get on that dang thing. 12 o'clock, I always have a check-in with my team and my staff to see where we're at, what's the priority for the day. And I always set my Mondays, I do a big prospecting day, but during the week, at 3 o'clock and 5 o'clock, I set to go on appointments. Always 3 o'clock and 5 o'clock. Who can tell me why that is?
So you know your schedule.
I know my schedule. People respect it more. And I hate working at 7 o'clock at night. Very rarely will I get in my house after 6 o'clock at night. And almost never will you get me on the phone after 6:30, unless I like you. Only men will laugh at me. How much time do we have?
About 10 minutes.
10 minutes. Okay, let's start wrapping this up. Here's what you need to do to order to create success the rest of this year. You need to decide, what do I want my year to look like? How many transactions do I want to do? Okay? So based on 6 figures in this business, guess how many deals that is per year?
30 to 36.
Okay, I was thinking 25, but 30 is a good number too.
Depends on where your market is.
Depends on where your average price point is, right? That's the other thing. Focus on driving up what you get paid per deal. So let's say it's 30 deals per year. Who is that? $100 donation right there. So to do 30 deals, you've got 4 quarters throughout the year. How many is 30 divided by 4? What's that number? I don't know, real quick.
Just over 7.
Just over 7. 7 deals in a 3-month period. That's about, what, 2.5 per month? 2.5? Okay, so you need to be able to create a vision of how am I going to get 2.5 deals in the next 30 days. And that probably needed to start in November. Okay, so let's say you're doing a 10-month plan and my goal is to do 2.5 deals in March. What do I need to do today to make that happen? Because it's your input, it's your roots that determine your fruits. Okay? There's no possible way that I'm going to plant a corn seed and then in 6 months I'm going to have an apple tree. Just ain't going to happen, folks. You got to see clearly what you want. So if my goal is to get 2.5 deals in March, you could probably say this: if I'm going to close 30 deals in a year, I probably need to take about 30 listings. For every listing you take, you'll probably close a deal. That's a good measurement. Okay. So if my goal is 2.5 deals in March, how many deals do I probably, or listings do I probably need to take this month? 2 to 3 listings. That's it. Pretty simple, right? How the hell am I supposed to get 2 to 3 listings? Where do these come from? Seriously. Prospecting. Referrals. Where else?
Going to the office. Working.
That's the first place. Show up and start. But if I'm going to get 2.5 listings this month, I need to know how many appointments I need to get on. For me, every 4 I go on, I'm going to take 3 of those, 75% of them. Okay, your ratio might not be there. You got to find out where that's going to be. You should be able to set 5, go on 3, and take 1. That's a very simple ratio. Okay? So if I know that in order to get 2.5 listings this month, I need to get on at least 5 appointments. 5. That's just over 1 per week. How do I get on an appointment? Has everyone asked yourself that question? I know I need to get on a meeting, I need to present, or I can't do business. But where do I start? Okay, the most simple place to start is going to be, let's make my list here, SOI and past clients. First place you need to start. You need to have a campaign in order to contact them every single day. A good rule of thumb, I know Keller Williams' model is 33 touches, right? That's a pretty good system to follow. If you call them once every 10 to 12 weeks, actually have a conversation with them, get them something in their hand once a month, you'll get referrals from them. Number 2 is, and I've built my whole business off of for sale by owners. My past customers would send me referrals because they were once a FSBO. They really don't eat their young, guys. They're actually pretty easy to work with as a for sale by owner. Some of them, I've heard stories. Expires, I'm not good at them. You know, Doug Carey, he's a real good friend of mine. He smashes it on expires. That's a great source. And then the 4th place is you need to create a database, or what I call a people farm, right? This is where your social media is going to fall in place. Those people that you've talked to that mentioned something about real estate, right, but maybe you didn't have an amazing connection with them, you need to create a game plan to be able to market them. Easiest way is through phone calls and emails, right? And if you're afraid of talking to someone on the phone, get over it really quickly. You're not going to make it in this business. I was talking to Shannon. I said, wouldn't it be cool if you could create a business model where everything was done over the phone? I never actually had to meet with people. I hate people, by the way. So. And Shannon says to me, most of my business is done on the phone. Most of our business is done on the phone. Get great at being on the phone. Be comfortable with being on the phone. So, how many touches per day do I need to get in order to extract those referrals and get those appointments? Realistically, every 18 contacts, connects that I talk with someone, I'll set an appointment. Every 36 people I talk with, I'll actually meet with them. I'll be able to present and get a signature. And of those people that I meet with, 75% will say, yeah, I want to do business with you. You need to know, okay, if that's the ratio, and I want to get on at least one appointment today, I need to talk with 36 people. That might sound overbearing to some of you to talk to 36 different people every single day. But could you talk to 10? Could you talk to 15? Could you make it the most important goal of your day to be able to network with 15 people today? And you do that every single day. You focus on that route right there, and you'll get your 30 deals. You'll get your 6-figure income. It's simple to do that in this business. I think we're running out of time. I didn't get through everything. Real quick, we got what, 5 seconds?
Yeah.
5 seconds, we'll wrap up. A lot of business, oh, by the way, when they were introducing me, they said Bob Loeffler, right? That's Bob Loeffler. You guys probably have heard his name. I would not be in the business if it was not for him. Fearlessagent.com, go check it out. There are 3 things that I recommend that I've done personally. One is one-on-one coaching, empire building. That's one thing. And that's going to be if you're at probably a little bit higher level, 40 to 60 deals a year and you want to master your schedule more. Number 2 is, which I've done since I've been in this business basically, which is called on-demand coaching. It's where I got I didn't know what I was going to present to a seller if I actually, do I have time for one story?
Yeah.
Okay. I saw that, some agents, they prospect, that's how they got the appointment. So I started calling expires when I first got into business. And I was fresh back from Brazil, speaking Portuguese, right? And so sometimes when I get Spanish speaking on the phone, I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm taking Spanish up at Weber State, I can do this. And so I got a customer on the phone and I said, ¿Quieres vender la casa? And they said, sí. I was like, bueno. So I set an appointment with them. I had no idea what the hell I was going to do there. So they didn't speak English, and my Spanish was about that. I think the only other Spanish line I know is, yo tengo un lápiz en mi bolso de mis pantalones, which I have a pencil in my pant pocket or something like that, right? I wasn't getting too many contracts signed. I showed up and the 14-year-old daughter's translating for us, and I said, great, let's do it. Let's get this up for $75,000. And the daughter's like, well, they owe $120 on it. I'm like, what do you mean they owe $120 on it? He said, yeah, they have to pay back the mortgage company. I'm like, what mortgage company are you talking about? I did not even realize that people had to pay back the bank for their house. That was my issues. I did not get the listing on it. So just to wrap things up real quick before we have the questions, the other thing is, with on-demand coaching that I learned, is I learned a proven listing presentation that was able to secure signature on a first-time visit. That was huge. A buyer's presentation, which if you guys are not doing a one-on-one buyer's consultation before you're showing a bunch of homes, you're making a giant mistake. I mean, especially, couple months ago, what was it? Beverly, everyone knows what happened in that situation. You shouldn't just be randomly meeting people, you should qualify them. And the buyer's presentation is simple. Number of the other presentations that I learned, that I had available for me, was also a pricing presentation. I don't know about you guys, but I have had some sellers that actually wanted to price their house too high, right? Have you had that experience?
Go figure. No, never.
I've had it, believe it or not, so to be able to get them to price it correctly to sell. Also an investor presentation and a for sale by owner presentation, because that's a different presentation. You can actually get those from Fearless Agent. I highly recommend it. It's about a $2,500 value. If you contact Bob off the website, he'll sell it for about, I think, $997. It's killer, plus on-demand coaching. You call him anytime with coaching. Well, I actually did a coaching call last night with him to prepare for this today. And then the last thing, which is coaching expensive sometimes. It's like, hey, I can't afford it, right? There's a program Bob started, which is a weekly group coaching call. Typically, he was charging $397 a month for it. He has opened it up for $97 a month. And you're going to get 1 hour every week on how to get the best skills and dialogue for every real estate situation to convert more transactions. Plus, you got question and answers. It's great. I would do it. Any questions for me, guys? I'm done. That's how I finish it. Any questions? Did I say any? No questions?